We met Mick Fleetwood, the co-founder of Fleetwood Mac, in front of the historic building that will house his new restaurant, Fleetwood's on Front Street in Lahaina, Maui.
It's that whole floor here. It's a big building.
That's going to be great.
It's a real, and then the whole of the roof. Maybe we can take you up there. It's so gorgeous. It's like
The building dates back to 1916. A good omen, he points out, as his mother was born that same year. With great enthusiasm, Mick took us on a tour of what was once the old Lahaina Grill and Oyster Bar. The insides are being gutted to make room for his new restaurant. He raved about the rooftop terrace with a royal view of Lahaina and the West Maui Mountains. Mick is a wine connoisseur. He has his own private wine label. Wines, he tells us, will be a big part of the presentation. We sat down with Mick to talk about his vision of Fleetwood's on Front Street.
it's a restaurant, but it's going to be a lovely place to keep plugged in and to be active. It's showtime every night, which is an old creature like me really appreciates. And I live here. Without living here, I wouldn't be doing this.
All right, so I can understand entertainment. I can understand you're coming from music, but what is your food background? Are you a great cook? Is it just good wine? What is it that you bring to a restaurant?
I'm not a great cook, but I know good food. I've traveled, I don't know how much traveling you do with your, well, you're traveling now with your show and doing stuff, but I've truly done this since I was 16 years old. And one of the things when you're lonely and blue, you find a restaurant that you like when you're traveling.
Well, you're going to take over an historic building here in Lahaina, one of the grandest buildings this town knows.
It is.
It's going to be Fleetwood's on Front, but give us an example. What's the dish that, as you're sitting here, you can't wait to serve your patrons?
Well, I would have to say I would have one of my lamb dishes. I'm a freak for lamb, which is a very English thing, I might add. It's an eclectic menu, very family orientated, great fish, great meat. Fish obviously because of the nature of where we are. It's sort of, you go into a great steakhouse, it's got seafood, which is obviously what it is, flatbreads, sushi, it's great burgers, great stuff for kids. We're about coming in and having a good time. You happen to have some suntan lotion on you, you're welcome to sit on the leather couch and mess it up, I don't want it to be all slick and shishi, but at night, someone that's really aware of going out and having a decent meal, and you may have been on the beach all day and you may have come here in the afternoon with your kids and had a burger or fish and chips or whatever, and you'd come back and be most greatly satisfied by great wine and some of the fare that we have, which is punched up, that would facilitate a really lovely dinner. I can get him in the door, that's for sure, without being presumptive, because in truth I feel certainly instructively blessed that a whole generation is reasonably represented from whence I have come and the music I've been involved in. And I think that's a great plus, but it's not everything. You've got to have the goods, and the goods are a great team of people, like running a great road show. If there's a bad apple in it, in the road crew, you got to, no matter what, you've got to get rid of them. So I know all about that, and a lot of the plugins with sensibilities running a rock and roll band for since 1967 are truly voiced in a place such as this, I believe.
You mentioned the music and your name on it, and I think back to '92 when Bill Clinton ran for president. They used your song in his campaign. Mm-hmm. That was huge. A lot of artists don't like that. What did you think when they first chose your music?
Not too much, apart from we realized they hadn't asked permission to do it, but which was more Christine than anyone else. But apart from John, who's definitely Mr. Right Wing of the band, and none of us are very political one way or the other, to tell you the truth. We've always not really gone there. So it was, it had a vision of importance that we went, it's sort of cool, and they're doing it anyhow, and seemed like nice people, so that was the end of that. And boy, did it grow into something else, where it became an anthem. In fact, a couple of weeks from now, sadly not Fleetwood Mac, but Mr. Bill, the Presidente, sent me a nice letter and said, I'd love Fleetwood Mac to play at my birthday party in LA. I dutifully tried to gather the ranks up, but Lindsay's on the road, and it meant like rehearsing a 50-hour-long show, and we haven't played for like over 2 years, so he said, well, I can't do that. So we didn't, but Stevie's doing it, so I'm going to be there with Stevie. I don't know whether I'm playing or not, but I should be sitting with Bill at his birthday party. Stevie will be playing, and he's happy, and then, so all of that, you are reminded, you know, don't stop the good old days and stuff. No problem, it's part of our fabric, and we had nothing to do with it at all. It was totally not, it was actually Al Gore in a limo heard the song, and I know this to be, I think, a true story, and went, you know what, we should use that. And then he suggested it, and then that was the end of that.
But what a strange path that your life has taken. I mean, did you ever think, you know, from rock and roll, did you think you were going to go to your grave with the drumsticks in your hand, or did you ever think you were going to be doing a restaurant? Or was this something you always wanted to do?
Always, absolutely. My mother was here. We were talking when we were looking at the building outside. It was 1916, which is my mum's birthday, which is a few days from now, August 10th, October 10th, rather. And I absolutely have always wanted to do this. No kidding. From the time I was 9 years old, we didn't come from money, but they had a nice little Georgian house, farmhouse, mum and dad was in the Royal Air Force. But when he went to Civvy Street, he had this little house, and I started loving to play drums, God knows why. And it's well, you could do the drumming, you know, not in the house or in the attic, do it in the stables. So I was dutifully given the stables, and the stables became what we call Club Keller, which one of my names is Kells, from the Book of Kells, Irish descent. So I had a Club Keller when I was 10 years old, with a little drum kit in the corner, which is basically what I showed you over there. I had fish netting and Chianti bottles, and I got all of that influence from my elder sister, who was an art student in London, very bohemian, and when I used to go be dropped off at boarding school, she would pick me up and sometimes take me down to Chelsea and places, and I think that's where I got this whole idea of, that's what I want to do. So I had this all mapped out, and I've tried it twice before, and third time lucky, we hope. So there you go. This is very, very much an absolute love thing. So it's not something I've suddenly thought.
We're short on time, but I have to ask you because you know, music and restaurant, wine, so all things that I enjoy. And then acting. You were in Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh wow!
No more acting?
No, I got into doing, it's so strange because last night I was in an art gallery because I do photography and still life stuff, photography and landscaping. And I had an art show on the other side of the island, and up on the wall, the guy, Arnie, was in there the other night, and he'd met the owner, it was a French guy I know really, really, really well, Gerard. I said, I've never seen that picture. He said, no, he was in there the other night. I said, how's Arnie doing? and the ex-governator said, in good humor, he said, oh, I have lost a lot of weight lately. I've been most worried.
Fleetwood's on Front Street, Lahaina.
Ow!
Front Street.